You're back for another round? You haven't had enough yet? Well, okay then. I guess it's time for another Adventurerathon announcement. Hey everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty, aka Beth Bookish, and I am the creator of the Adventurerathon, which is the readathon that you are about to learn about if you are new here or coming back to if you've been here a while. This is a readathon I created 3 years ago now, and I have the absolute fortune of having the best co-host ever, Jonah, who is also Words from the Void. Cannot plug this guy enough. He needs so much more love. He is hilarious and chaotic. If you're watching this video and you are not subscribed to him, I demand that before you do anything else, you go onto his channel and subscribe, or at least check out one of his videos right now, and then come back to this one. Go on. Go on. Off you go. Welcome back. So, the Adventurerathon was created because I wanted to do my own readathon, making something that's a little bit more generically fantasy, but also inspired with D&D and some other stuff that was going on in my life at that time. And thus it was born, and now I have an entire TBR game where I've used this readathon as inspiration for that. It's lovely. We have a wonderful community over on Discord, so that'll all be linked below. Please do check that out. And honestly, we've been on some really fun adventures. We've gone exploring an island and got to join an adventurers guild. We've helped break the curse on a nation, and we fought a headless horseman, aka the Dullahan. We have been shipwrecked, and now we are heading on to our next adventure. Now, before we go into any details of this current round, I do just want to say a big welcome if you are new here, if this is your first video that you've seen by me or your first time checking out the Adventurerathon. Hello, welcome. So happy to have you here. There is going to be a video coming out very soon where I actually do like a little introduction to the Adventurerathon in more detail, as well as what you can do if you are starting. But all you need to know is that if you are joining us, you have one of two options. You have the kind of quick start easy mode, or you have the optional character creation mode. So when this readathon first started, we did 2 rounds of character creation. So you got to pick from these various characters that I made, and you had to read 4 prompts for each one to build your character. So you had to choose a skill, a weapon or an item, and then do a starting and finishing quest, and from that you built your character, and you got to choose what items you wanted to customize them with, and you read the books based off of those prompts to build your character. There are only 7 that you can choose from now. In those rounds there were 14, but our final magical 7 are Assassin, Hunter, Mage, Minstrel, Pirate, Seer, and the Sovereign. I will create like a folder specifically for if you want to build your character. Then that information will be all available up on the Google Drive where all of the information is. I have done what I can. Every folder is extremely clearly labeled, but if you do have any problems, please do let me know. Character creation and doing all that and building your character, if you wanted to do that through October to build up ready, you can. However, the quick start mode is purely you just pick from that list, decide, oh, actually, I want to play a seer, I want to be a sovereign, I want to be an assassin, put 500 gold into your coin purses, and then you are ready to begin. That's all you need to do, okay? Pretty simple. Now, our last adventure, you found yourselves awash after your not exactly fantastic ship hit turbulent waters, didn't do such a good job. So you ended up on this abandoned island where you had to fight to survive for the month while gathering enough supplies to repair your ship. By the end of the month, you had successfully rebuilt the Driftwood, as it has been lovingly named, and you cast back off into the sunset. Your journey has been going well. You've got the odd little crackle, the odd little groan that makes everybody hold their breath, but everything seems okay. One day, a large raven lands on the ship holding a rolled up piece of parchment. One of you steps forward, you take the parchment, you unroll it, and you see a letter from the guildmaster back in your very first adventure when you were back at Insert Generic Fantasyland here, that thanks to Lyra has now been renamed Genfanland. He has slightly interesting news and a tale to tell that the island that you had cleared of crones, that you had resolved some squabbles, you'd helped reverse some chaotic magic that was going on. Everything was calm, everything was fine, which is why you were fine to go on to your next adventures. But things have gone a bit weird across the island. The Guildhall woke up one morning and there were these random green beans just all over the place. Through the use of like all of the on-hand mages and the merchant who kind of just hangs about tormenting everyone, they identified that these beans are magical in nature, so cautiously and probably throwing a little bit too much caution to the wind, they planted one of the beans and it started to grow like any bean would, turning into a tiny little beanstalk. But then it stopped. For over a month, nothing happened. These beans kept appearing and they started to get notifications across the entire map that beans were sprouting and doing weird things in each area that they are sprouting. Not really sprouting, just appearing. And they were like, okay, we are the Adventurers Guild, we should be able to do something about this. So they went around, they started to collect up all of these beans, they cleared everything, or so they thought, came back. And when they did come back, nothing really happened. The next day, more beans were appearing. But then there was an incident where one of the adventurers on his journey back had had a little bit too much of the grog, stumbled into the garden where our teeny tiny little sprout had grown, tripped over, spilled his beans all over the garden, and watched in horror as the entire garden began to glow and those beans disappeared. Thinking that it was nothing more than a drunken hazy dream, he went to bed. The next morning woke up and there was suddenly a 7-foot tall beanstalk protruding from that teeny tiny little bean. Everyone went, holy shit, okay, so now they've worked out that there are all these beans that need collecting. At the time that you have been summoned and asked for assistance, this beanstalk is about 30 feet tall. It is definitely heading its way up into the skies. It is big enough that people can climb it. It is enormous, but it's also, no one knows what it is, where it came from, or what is going to happen. Very quickly, as a group, decide we're going to head back, we're going to help, we're going to offer our assistance and see what is going on. That is where we're going to start this current round of Adventurerathon. We are heading back to Genfanland. We are going to go back to some of the locations. We're going to find out what's going on and do something about this. As with our very first round of adventure, we are going to this island and we have this map. It is the same as we had before, with two tiny differences. For those of you that are eagle-eyed and remember, or have been checking in on Discord and have seen the teasers that have been going live, there are two new locations. However, when we go back to each of these locations, something has changed. Something has changed within me. Sorry, I could not resist. That popped up the second I thought about it and I hate myself. Controversial, but I don't like Wicked. Anyway, I'm going to go through each of the locations and tell you the prompts. Then we're going to talk about the bounties, because they will be making a return, and then linked in with that will be like how you can make extra gold. And then we've got some character development stuff and some new stuff being added, because every round we add something to give you guys a more immersive experience. So beginning with the Guildhall, there are beans. Beans are everywhere. Where once it was just a generic kind of castle hall place where you could chill, it is now everywhere you step you are crunching on beans, and everywhere you look there are beans just found in all these little crevices. They're everywhere. You can't get enough of them. So for this one, the prompt is the author you have read the most of. If there is an author that you have read more than others and you've got one of their books that you haven't yet read, now is the time to read it or reread. But whichever author you have read or authors you have read the most from, choose one of them and either read a new book, reread, or if there's absolutely nothing, then read like the next author down. So whichever author you have read the most from, that you have a book that you either want to reread or that you haven't yet gotten to, now is when you do it. Moving down to the Elder Glade, where once this was a green and lusciously filled glade with a beautiful blooming oak tree. Now things are still beautiful. Everything has turned various shades of red and gold and orange, but where once on the ground was beautiful mossy grass, now is mushrooms. Everywhere you look, there are mushrooms. There are wild violets and reds and browns, and no mushroom looks the same. Some even look suspiciously like people screaming, so maybe like try to avoid the mushrooms where possible, because we don't quite know what they're doing and why they're there. But these random mushrooms of all kinds of shapes, sizes, colours have appeared and have taken over the entire glade. For this, it is to read a book with an autumnal theme or setting. Whether the book is set during autumn, whether the book cover gives you autumnal vibes, whether it's a cozy fantasy and you only read cozy fantasy in autumn, whatever your interpretation of autumnal vibes are, that is what you read. Moving down to Cast Village, the village where when you last approached everyone was kind of quiet, treated you with a little bit of suspicion, a little bit of uncertainty, until you managed to break through their stone cold hearts. But when you return, everything is silent. Boats gently bob along the pier with nobody manning them. Shops remain open but unstaffed, and every time you think you see someone you turn around because you're seeing shadows but nothing is there. The Beans, it seems, has just turned what was already a kind of suspicious place even more so. And for this, your prompt is to read a book with a silhouette on the cover. There will be a recommendation video giving you more information and examples. However, just as one quick example, you can see on this cover there is a silhouette on the cover. So that is your prompt for that one. And then we move further south again down to the Sage's Retreat, where last time some books were misbehaving and we had to wrangle them back onto their shelves. Thankfully, the Beans have kept them on the shelves. Unfortunately, the Beans have flipped everything upside down. Anything that should be on the floor is now up on the ceiling, and anything on the ceiling is now on the floor, including you. As you walk through the door, you are suddenly inverted and flipped up onto the ceiling, and now you're trying to collect these beans while also hanging upside down. For this prompt, you have to read a book that has something upside down on the cover. I think that one's quite a simple and like self-explained prompt. Continuing again, we have first of our two new locations called the Crone's Rest. If you did the bounties back in that very first round, you may remember one of the bounties was to clear out a nest of crones. This is the site that you went to. It's atop a mountain. You're on a little overlook. Yes, it is entirely designed and ripped straight from Skyrim and the crone's nest that you have to clear out in Skyrim. So if you have played Skyrim, just picture that. It's that. But you've got this little overlook that once had this crone's nest and this den and has been completely destroyed. Everything has fallen silent, but the Beans have cast this dark shadow over it so that everything is completely black and silent and deathly quiet, except for when the wind blows and you can still hear the faint shrieking and screams of those crones as they died, gradually ghosting across your skin. It's all great. It's a holiday destination. For this, it is to read a book that is either a grimdark, a post-apocalyptic or dystopic, or a dark romance. Basically anything that has these really dark kind of vibes, preferably set in a world where everything is kind of doom and gloom, hence why I specifically said grimdark and post-apocalyptic. But if you have literally got nothing, but you may own like a dark romance, or you've got a horror that's got really dark creepy vibes and kind of gives you that feeling that the end of the world is nigh kind of situation, or that nothing's ever going to be good again, go for that. I just thought it's an uncomfortable setting, it's an uncomfortable situation. Let's try a prompt that maybe pushes you out of your comfort zone. Plus we are going to still be coming out of spooky season, so for those of us who don't want to let go of those vibes just yet, this one might be the perfect prompt. We then make our way down to where we finished the last round, which was the Unknown Depths, where once this was a huge cavern system with multiple twisting paths that led into nothing but darkness. The cave has changed. There's no longer any kind of pathways. It's just become one large cavern. Glowing lights are bouncing off the wall. It's actually quite beautiful. Everything feels comfortable. There's a warmth there. And as you touch the stones, they kind of glow and shimmer against your hand, and your whole body just feels warm and welcomed. You just want to stay here forever because you know you are safe. For this prompt, you are to read one of your favourite authors, whether this is like a comfort read for you, or it's a new book by that author, or you're going back to a series you love by that author. If it is an author that you love, even if the book itself is, you know, the most gruesome splatterpunk, if picking up that author's work brings you that joy knowing that you are in a safe place and you're gonna be in for a good time, pick that book up and read it. Continuing round the map, we're now making our way back up the map towards the Guildhall, and our next stop is Everglow Falls. The last time you were here, these were glowing rainbow dazzling bright colours, and everything seemed like a big prism, just flashing lights around, and it was beautiful. When you entered the water, if you were hot, the water was cool. If you were cold, the water was warm. It adjusted itself to your body temperature. This time as you approach, the water seems grey. Instead of being this beautiful crystalline refractive light source, it's dull. It seems cold and stagnant and stale. Plunging your hand into the water, it almost freezes. Something about the whole atmosphere, you don't want to go near it. You want to stay as far away from that as you can. For this is to read a book that makes you feel uncomfortable. This could be a genre that you've never read, an author that you have had issues with before and you're going to give one final try. It could be that the cover has one of your phobias on it. For example, After Love by Tanya Byrne has moths on, so even though I really want to read it, I'm so phobic of moths I can't physically hold the book because it has moths on it. Whatever reason it is that a book has made you uncomfortable, maybe it's 700 pages and that makes you terrified. Whatever it is that makes you uncomfortable to read that book, now's the time to face your fears and take that plunge. Just don't plunge too deep, you might freeze. Coming into the centre of the map, we have the Ilaria ruins, where last time you discovered all of these beautiful ancient treasures and discovered so many lost secrets and learnt all these historical things about the island. This time around, as you approach, there are weird runes that have appeared all over the wall. No one has been able to crack this. Everyone is whispering and talking about it, but even the best of the scholars and the linguists haven't yet worked out what these runes are trying to say and what they are trying to reveal or tell us. Maybe they don't mean anything, but you want to go and find out. For this one, it's kind of like got two options, because the first option I did realise could be a bit more difficult and a bit too difficult for like a main prompt. So you have two options. You can either read a book that is centred on language and linguistics, for example Babel, or you can read a translated book. But either way, you've got to read them in order to try and figure out what these runes are trying to tell you. Then we go up to the Well of Fortune. The last time you were here, the water granted you magical boons and allowed your character to just add a tiny little extra thing to themselves. This time when you appear, where once the water was just normal water that tasted normal but gave you your magical boon, this time the water has changed to every and all colour. It's a horrific mess of, basically think someone has just got every single colour under the rainbow and just splattered it in there and hoped for the best. That is what is happening. Specks of colour come through. Some of them look quite still, some of them look quite fizzy, and when one tentative explorer takes a sip, they say, "This tastes like my favourite beverage." Essentially, the Well of Fortune is now a soda pop fountain. So now it's your choice. What is your favourite soda pop? Mine is the Saja Boys. You're my soda pop, my little soda pop. So for this prompt, it is to choose your favourite soda pop, or if you don't drink any of that, your favourite beverage. And if your favourite beverage is water, why? There are so many millions of options out there. Why is water? Come on, live a little. I'm sorry, I hate plain water. It's just, it hydrates, but it's gross. Anyway, choose your favourite, whether it, like, preferably soda pop or fizzy drink, so it might be Pepsi or cola or whatever. Whatever your favourite beverage packaging is, take the colours and find them on a cover. And finally, we end on our second new location. So just further north of Ilaria Ruins are a series of small lakes that last time nothing was really going on there. You didn't really need to explore them, but this time something has happened. These are the Crystal Spine Lakes. Usually they are called because when you look down in them, the crystal clear water has these little spines and formations similar to stalactites and stalagmites growing in the water. It seems like this was once a cavern system that has collapsed, and so you've got all of the bottom and all of the formations there, and then the top's fallen in. It's all made out of different gemstones. Everything is usually so stunning. Instead of these crystal clear waters with all of these formations inside, everything has sprung up and you're faced with these incredible sculptures, but the lakes themselves seem to have vanished. It is going to take you a very long time to try and get all of these beans. For this, your prompt is to read a book that has been on your TBR for 3 or more years. If you are one of those mythical unicorn booktubers or bookish people who does keep up with their reading, doesn't hoard books for years on end, just read the oldest book on your TBR. And that is it for your main prompts. Every prompt that you fulfill around this map, you will earn 100 beans. Once you have beans, you then have a decision to make. Do you add your beans to the beanstalk and continue to grow it and see how far up it goes and where it will lead to next? Or do you go, hell no, I've read those fairy stories, I don't want that kind of chaos, and I don't want to potentially bring death and destruction onto the world, and do you destroy the beans instead? It is completely your choice. Once you have made that decision and you are logging your books, there will be on the logging form an option for you to tick what you want to do. You could even change it up by, do half of them where you do submit the beans, half of them where you don't. It's completely up to you, but every time you fulfill the prompt, you don't have to log it immediately. I would suggest you do, just because then it helps me to track the beanstalk through the month. This one, it is you guys. I will change whatever the next round is depending on the outcome of this. So if you grow the beanstalk, we have what's going to come next. There's a plan. But if you decide not to grow the beanstalk and you go, hell no, we're not going to risk this, we've got to come up with another plan. You are literally choosing the fate of the next readathon with this. So it's completely up to you whether or not you want to grow it or you want to destroy the beans. But like I said, on the logging form, there will be a little box that you will have to tick to let me know which one you do. And each time we'll either add 100 beans or remove 100 beans. Choice is yours. I don't care. In terms of, like I said, for those of you that need an extra challenge and you are going to complete those prompts pretty quickly and you want extra things to do, we are bringing back the Bounties board. Now, this is a thing within the guild. Within the guild hall, there is a Bounties board where it's just little posts and little challenges and little jobs that people around the island are asking for help with. Some of these are returning from last time, such as this one. Enough said, I don't need to explain it. But we also do have some new bounties coming in. I'm not going to talk through every single bounty, mostly because as of filming this in the first week of October, Jonah and I are still figuring out the bounties, so we don't have all of them, but I can give you, I've just given you one. One of our new ones is Get a Clue. A wealthy merchant was found deceased. Was it his butler in the parlour with a knife, or maybe his mistress in the bedroom with a candlestick? Only you can find out, and the prompt for that is a murder mystery, and you earn 200 gold. So these are just completely optional, just for your character to pick up a little bit of gold and for you as a reader to just have some extra prompts to do if you run out of main prompts. You can do these as many as you want. So with the main prompts, you can only do them once. You will earn 100 gold for every prompt you complete, and you'll earn 100 beans, but you can only do them one time. You can't keep going back. But with the bounties, you can choose to do these as many times as you like. So if you want to read 5 murder mysteries, you've read 5 murder mysteries and made 1,000 gold for your cash pot. And so those bounties will be going live on the first day of the readathon. I will also do a video in November, probably in the first week, with some recommendations and to sort of do a video breakdown and explanation if anyone needs any help with them. So please do check that one out when that comes available. And then there are just a few more little bits. So we're now on to the final bit, which is the what is new? What are the character updates? What is going on in future rounds? So first of all, we have a new addition to the Guildhall in the form of the Clothier, where the merchant is kind of just the merchant. The Clothier is their kind of slightly more friendly, but also will screw you over more counterpart. That they're basically two sides of the same coin, even though they have a bit of a rivalry with each other and clash. There are plenty of rumours going around that maybe once there was like some kind of weird magical hookup going on. No one knows. No one really dares to ask. Even I don't dare to ask, and I created them. The Clothier is situated in the upper beams of one of the towers of the Guildhall. At first you're not really sure why until you enter, and all around you are these like silken webs and these little cocoon pouches hanging around. And you also see some little items hanging around there. And as you work further in amongst this, what at first you think is like spider webbing, then those of you who are a little bit more aware of these kind of things realise it is silk. You see this sentient humanoid silkworm at the end, like waiting for you with its little shop tucked away in the corner. Their role is to provide you with character upgrades. So if you remember last round we introduced character XP, so at the end of the round you all ended up, depending on what quests you'd done, you could have ended up with, I think it was like 200 or 250 XP in total. This is where you can now go to spend that money. The Clothier has a little range of wares that you can purchase. Again, it's something that we are still working on and we are getting everything ready for that. But a couple of things that I will tell you about, give you an idea of the kind of things you can buy for your character. We have the swooshing cloak for 400 XP. This is a dramatically swooshing, billowing cloak that gives you a simply fabulous dramatic swoop anytime you turn. So when you turn, it just swoops on by, and every now and again a little voice will go swoosh, just to give it that little extra dramatic flair. So the effect of this cloak is that any book you read that has a dust jacket on it will gain you an extra 20 pages when you log it. So, you know, if I pick up this book and I read it, it has a dust jacket. So if I read this for the Readathon, when I log this book, it is 330 pages. I would say it's 350 and just gain a tiny little extra bonus to my page count. We have the chromatic pen. It's a beautifully gilded pen, fountain pen, but no matter what ink you put inside, as you write, it will turn like metallic and glittery and beautiful. And for this, it's any book that you read with shiny like foiling and lettering on the title gives you an extra 50 pages, and it has to specifically be title. It can't be like if an item, I don't think I've got anything on here right this second, but if it was say a cover where it had that but the lettering was not foiled, it wouldn't count. So it has to specifically be foiled lettering, and that would give you bonus 50. And those are permanent. Like once you have those, they're there forever, so it's like a perma boost. There are some items, however, that are one use only. For example, the changeling hair dye. You put it on your hair, you change your hair to whatever colour you like, and for this one, when you use this item, for that entire round, any book that has a cover prompt, so this round we've got silhouette on the cover, something upside down on the cover, you can just use any cover and discount that prompt, but it is only for one use because it applies to the entire round, so that would be a bit too OP if you were going to use that every single round. You would have to repurchase it if you want to keep using that perk. That is the Clothier and what the Clothier will be doing, and like I said, it will take a while to build up that character XP. This is designed to be like a long game kind of building up to, but it's just a little extra thing that you can do for your characters. Every round that you take part in will earn you immediately 150 XP, but there is the final new thing that we are bringing in and that I have teased, which is the character bonus. Essentially, your character, when you pick up a book for a prompt, if you can then also add this little bonus, you'll earn some character XP on top, and you will earn 50 XP for every time. You can do this every single book that you pick up, you can apply this little bonus if it fits. But I have designed them that they're not going to be so generic that you could apply it to every single tiny book. They are designed to give you a tiny bit of a challenge, and maybe just to give your character, like to give you a little bit more thought to your reading. You can only do the prompt for your character, by the way. So you can't, if you're an assassin, you can't do the hunter prompt. If you're a mage, you can't do the seer prompt, etc. It has to specifically be your character. And there will be a thing on the, again, when you log your books, there will be a question asking, have you done the bonus? So just bear that in mind, please. Don't be claiming extra XP when you shouldn't be. So for an assassin, it is to stalk, which is catch up, or slay, which is to finish a series. So if you're doing the Sage's Retreat prompt, which is to read a book with something upside down on the cover, and the book you choose also finishes a series, not only do you complete that prompt, but you will gain 50 bonus XP on top of that, which is great. You're just sort of maximizing your rewards. For Hunter, it's legendary creatures, so that is to read a book that you either have never seen on anyone talk about or on social media, or one that you've rarely seen. Just looking at my shelves right now, I can say honestly I have never seen someone talk about When Shadows Dream by Ren Smith. I have rarely, if ever, seen Conventionally Yours by Annabeth Albert. It might be that people are talking about them, but I personally have never seen them, so I would count those. For Mage, it's a book with an interesting magic system. If it's a case of they just hold a wand, say some spells, that's not going to count. If they use a spell book, that doesn't count. There has to be something unique and interesting. Do they weave magic by using instruments? Is their magic sort of based on metals or crystals? Something a little bit more interesting that is more than just the generic, I can control fire, I can wave a wand. So come up with something a little bit more intriguing. For Minstrel, it is to pick up a book that has been adapted in any way, shape or form. So it could be that it's had a play, a film, a TV. It could be that I know some books like Pride and Prejudice has just recently had an audible dramatization done. So yes, it's an audiobook, but it's like a full drama production. Straight up audiobooks, I will say no. But if they are specific audiobooks that have got like extra things to really pump up the dramatics, I will accept. 90% of manga gets turned into anime. But if you really don't have anything, the alternative choice is a book with, if I just picked up the wrong one, because I know one of hers has. Yeah. The other option is something that is becoming a little bit more popular within books nowadays, and that is a track list. As you can see here, there is a playlist at the very start of the book. So if you are struggling to find a book that has been adapted, find one that has a playlist, or even in the author's note, if they've said that a specific artist helped them, read that. For the pirate, your job is to steal a book. Please don't literally go into a shop and start stealing. We don't condone that. But what I mean by that is look on someone's TBR video, like, you know, myself and Jonah, every month pretty much we will do a TBR video. So watch that. If we're doing a book that you have on your shelf, read it. We're also going to have in the G Drive a list of people who have really interesting TBR games and like TBR stuff that we think you should check out. So yeah, whether it be our recommendation, our video, or you find someone's video where they've put together a TBR, go through, find a book, steal it. And again, if you are struggling with that, then the other one is to social media scroll and just scroll through videos until one pops up that you've got. Simple. For Seer is to read a 5-star prediction, or if you are someone who either doesn't do star ratings at all or is like me and is very scared to declare a book 5-star prediction because every time you do it goes wrong, just pick a book you think you're going to absolutely love and read that. And finally for Sovereign, the main character of your book must be a king, queen, prince, princess, emperor, empress, or of that standard, so like princess, prince, princess and above, or the non-binary equivalent. but the main character has to be one, and they can't just be sort of like they are one but they're in exile. They have to actively be in that role and ruling or part of that political, like that sovereignty. Okay, that's how you can earn your character XP, and how you can track it are these brand new character sheets that I've created. There are different ones in the G Drive, so there's like a full color one. There's a one where there's no background, so you can print it onto your own coloured paper. And then I have tried to do a black and white one, but it hasn't come out the best. They aren't flashy, they're not spectacular. I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not an artist. I'm happy with them, I think they're cute. You can shrink them down to put into your like bullet journals and spreads and things like that. I just thought it'd be a cute little thing to do. And then from like next round, I'm going to create some little adventure log pages so you can keep a record of each individual adventure that you've been on. So at the end of it, you could maybe even bind together your own little adventurer's notebook with all of your character stats and things like you do with D&D. I just thought it would be a nice little cute way for you to not only track your character bonuses and any items you accumulate, but also you can keep a track of your gold, you can keep track of your XP, all of this. And there's even a little box on there for you to do your character profile. So if we take my character, this is what her character sheet currently would look like. We've got her little profile picture, we've got how much gold she currently has, and I'll update that every round. You know, it's just going to be so cute. I can't wait, and I hope you guys enjoy filling in your character sheets, and please do feel free to share them on the Discord with everyone as well, because we would love to see your creations and what you guys come up with. And then the very last thing, what about the Driftwood? Some of you may be thinking. You have the option that if you don't want extra character bonuses, you could use your character XP to instead invest in the Driftwood. Any adventures where the Driftwood is not in play, we're just going to pretend that it's there and it's just waiting for us. There will be more adventures with the Driftwood, so you know, whether it's in 2 or 3 adventures time, you now have at least 1, if not 2 or 3 adventures where you can be putting your XP into the Driftwood. On the book logging form, which will look like this, there will be the option like, would you like to donate to the Driftwood Fund? So you can donate your XP, and once we hit certain milestones, the Driftwood will have upgrades done to it, but you will not find out what those exact upgrades are until that adventure begins. So it'll just be a fun little extra thing for you to do. Like, you might just want to throw in 20 XP, 50 XP, you might go, screw it, I'm not using it, here's 500. Completely up to you, but the Driftwood is still going to be in play, will be making a reappearance, and you have the opportunity to make her amazing. And then the very last thing, just a few generic rules that I feel like I do need to reconfirm, make sure you are aware. As with always, once you've made your TBR, there are no swapsies, you're locked in. The only way you can change it is to use the items from the merchant. The merchant will be fully open from the 1st of October to the 31st. Sometimes I'll keep him open for an extra week so you can purchase stuff afterwards. But the merchant is open all month. All of the items with their prices are in the G Drive, and you can also check in on Discord if you want things as well. And these give you amazing perks. I'm not going to go through all the items because they have been in play for a while, and if you're new, they are all on the G Drive. There are no double ups allowed unless I have told you, so the main quests you cannot double up, the bounties you cannot double up, only your 1 character bonus can you double up with any of the other prompts. And yeah, the Clothier will now also be open alongside the merchant. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Also, please do check out the Discord. There is always extra stuff going on over there, and we have a wonderful community of people. There will be a recommendation video coming out on the 17th. I'm 90% certain it was the 17th I said. On Friday the 17th, there will be a recommendation video with all of the main prompts, and I'll give you a whole ton of recommendations. I will also be doing a separate video with the character bonus stuff, and I'll do a bunch of recommendations for that so that you've got like a permanent reference to that if you need it, and if you need reminders of that. Rather than having to come back to this video every time, you'll have your own separate video that you can go back to, and there will be a specific part on the Discord for you to check out as well. So everything will be on there. I'm excited. I've had this one in mind for about 3 rounds now, and I can't wait. So I really hope you guys enjoy it. I'm intrigued to find out what you're going to decide your fate is going to be. I'm excited. I really hope everyone joins. If you are new to the Readathon, let us know below that you're joining us and let us know what character you've chosen. Thank you so much to Jonah for helping come up with some ideas, helping keep me sane and offering to take on so many of the burdens, but my perfectionism wouldn't let him do that. So thank you so much for being my constant rock and support. I love you so, so much. Everyone go check him out. And please do check out the G Drive and the Discord for more information. In the meantime, I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're ready for our next adventure, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.